The Volstead Act, or more commonly known as the National Prohibition Act, was designed to carry out the intent of the 18th Amendment to the United States Constitution. The 18th Amendment prohibited the production, importation, transportation, and sale of intoxicating liquors, but did not provide a definition of intoxicating liquors or provide penalties. It did, however, give the federal government as well as state governments the power to enforce the ban with what they deemed to be appropriate legislation. The National Prohibition Act officially became law on October 28, 1919, with a 69-20 Senate vote overriding a veto by then-President Woodrow Wilson. The law took effect on January 17, 1920, and remained in effect until December 5, 1933, when the 21st Amendment was ratified. The 21st Amendment repealed the 18th Amendment, thus returning control of alcohol sales to the states. During the era of Prohibition, supporters of the act often cited it as being a battle for public morals and health. Though not all forms of alcohol were banned, such as wine used for religious purposes, local laws were stricter in many areas, with some states banning possession outright. The 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution, which granted women the right to vote, was a direct result of enacting Prohibition. The temperance movement had popularized the belief that alcohol was the major cause of most personal and social problems, and Prohibition was seen as the solution to the nation's poverty, crime, violence, and other issues. Women who were often victims of domestic violence generally supported Prohibition under this belief. Looking to strengthen support for Prohibition, temperance organizations strongly supported women's suffrage, ultimately manipulating an unrepresented group to do so. Following the ban, criminal gangs gained control of the beer and liquor supply in many major metropolitan areas. By the late 1920s, new opposition to Prohibition had emerged nationwide as critics cited the policy as causing a surge in criminal activity, lowering local revenue, and imposing rural values on urban America, much in the way that urban views and values are currently being forced on rural America. Organized crime figures, most notably Al Capone, subsequently rose to power, taking in as much as $100 million per year, or what would be equal to approximately $1.6 billion today. A study conducted on 30 major U.S. cities during the first 2 years of Prohibition found that overall, crime had increased by 24%. Theft and burglary increased by 9%, homicide increased by 13%, assaults and battery rose by 13%, drug addiction by an astounding 45%, and on average, police department costs rose by 11.4%. The geographic landscape of the United States also contributed to the difficulties in enforcing Prohibition. The varying terrain of valleys, mountains, lakes, and swamps, as well as the extensive seaways, ports, and porous borders shared with both Canada and Mexico, made it impossible for law enforcement to stop bootleggers given their lack of resources. Prohibition created a vast black market which competed with the formal economy. By 1932, many politicians began to argue that Prohibition was not stopping crime and was actually causing the creation of large-scale, well-funded, and well-armed criminal syndicates. Other research had shown that Prohibition had not reduced overall alcohol consumption long-term. John D. Rockefeller, who was a staunch supporter of Prohibition, openly admitting failure, explained in a 1932 letter, "When Prohibition was introduced, I hoped that it would widely be supported by public opinion, and the day would soon come when the evil effects of alcohol were recognized. I have slowly and reluctantly come to believe that this has not been the result. Instead, drinking has generally increased. The speakeasy has replaced the saloon, a vast army of lawbreakers has appeared, many of our citizens have openly ignored Prohibition, respect for the law has generally been lessened, and crime has increased to a level never seen before." Now let's fast forward to June 26th of 1934. That is when the NFA, or National Firearms Act, was enacted. The law is an act of Congress that imposes an excise tax on the manufacture and transfer of certain firearms and devices, such as machine guns, short-barreled rifles, short-barreled shotguns, and suppressors, among other things. Machine guns are defined as any firearm which can fire repeatedly without manual reloading by a single function of the trigger, both continuous fully automatic and burst fire. Short-barreled rifles, or SBRs as they are commonly referred to, included in any firearm with a buttstock and a rifled barrel less than 16 inches in length or an overall length under 26 inches. Short-barreled shotguns are similar to SBRs, but with either a smoothbore barrel less than 18 inches in length or an overall length under 26 inches. Suppressors, or silencers, are defined as any portable device designed to muffle or disguise the report of a portable firearm. The National Firearms Act of 1934 was passed in direct response to the gangland violence of the Prohibition era, gangland violence that was ultimately brought on by government overreach and short-sightedness. Though this act did not outright ban the items listed on the registry, it imposed a tax on those certain types of weapons. When the act passed, the tax was at the time and has remained $200, which would be equivalent to approximately $4,429 today. Historian David Oshinsky wrote that prohibition works best when directed at its primary target, the working class poor. Historian Elizabeth Cohen wrote, "A rich family could have a cellar full of liquor and get by, it seemed, but if a poor family had one bottle of homebrew, there would be trouble." This in many ways is similar to modern-day politicians chastising average citizens over the amount and/or type of firearms they may own, while at the same time using their overinflated taxpayer-funded salaries to hire armed private security. What I hope you guys can take from this video was how what they did back then, proposing all of these bans, was a colossal failure and ultimately led to a much larger problem that they then had to deal with and put criminals in power. It is very, very, very similar to what's going on today with all of the proposed firearms bans, not only at the federal level, but at the state level as well. If you guys found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up and drop me a comment down below and let me know what you liked about it. If you did not like it, go ahead and drop me a comment either way. Let me know what you didn't like about it. If you'd like to see more content from us in the future, please hit that subscribe button and share the hell out of this with as many people as you possibly can and get the word out. People need to be made aware of what is going on and what it's going to lead to. Thank you.